Hi and welcome to my channel. Today I want to share with you on how to create table in SAP using Abap Dictionary. SAP provides a tool to create and manage database objects such as table and view without having to create the objects directly in the database. This tool is called Abap Dictionary. So whenever we create a table using Abap Dictionary, the SAP system will create the physical table in the database using the same structure defined in the Abap Dictionary. With that being said, Abap Dictionary will act as the middleware or interface between the SAP system and database. Before we start creating table in SAP, there are several kinds of tables you need to know. The first one is called transparent table. Transparent table exists with the same structure both in the dictionary as well as in database, exactly with the same data and fields. You can also create a secondary index in the table. And we often use transparent table to store master data. The second one is called pool table. Pool tables are logical tables that must be assigned to a table pool when they are defined. Pool tables are used to store control data or any data used for SAP customization. Several pool tables can be combined in a table pool. The data of these pool tables are then sorted in a common table in the database. The third one is called cluster table. Cluster tables are logical tables that must be assigned to a table cluster when they are defined. Cluster tables can be used to store control data. They can also be used to store temporary data or text, such as documentation. Now for today's lesson, we will create a transparent table. Let's get started. The transaction code that we will be using to call Abap Dictionary is SE11. Type in the transaction code SE11 in the transaction code input box, which is located on the top left corner of your SAP menu. And then press enter. In this screen, you can see several objects that you can create using Abap Dictionary. The first one is database table. A table is used to store data. In a moment, we will create a transparent table using this option. The second option is view. A view does not store any data on its own. It can contain data from multiple tables, and it just accesses or reads data from those tables. And then we also have data type. There are several data types that we can create using Abap Dictionary, such as data element, that we can use as the data type for the table column. We can also create a table structure that can be used globally in any Abap programs as the structure of internal tables. So it's basically just a structure, and it cannot be used to store any data. The next one is type group, which is like an include program that you can use to put all of your type statement into. Mostly it is used for reuse, so you define your types there, and they can be included in any program or class and be used within. You can also create a domain. A domain describes the technical attributes of a field, such as the data type, number of characters, and decimal places. You can also define value range for the fields referring to this domain. You can use domain as the data type for your data element. We also have search help. Search help is used to display all the possible values for a field in a form of a list. This list is also known as a hit list. You can select the values that are to be entered in the fields from this hit list instead of manually entering the value. For example, you can have a search help for company column. So you can just select the company data from the list instead of typing it manually. Now click on the database table option. In this exercise, we will focus on creating a transparent table. Let's give our table a name. For example, ZT Products. Remember that user-created Abap objects must start with the letter Z or Y. And then click the Create button. Enter a short description for the table. Just name it Master Products. Press Enter. And then we have to maintain the delivery class for this table. Click on the field. Click on this Help button. This will bring a list of delivery classes for your table. Double-click Delivery Class A, which is for application data. Now we have to select the data browser or table view maintenance value. If we want to maintain the data directly in the table, such as for insert, update, or delete, then we have to choose Maintenance Allowed. But again, it depends on your user role whether or not you are given the access to maintain the table. And for this example, let's select Maintenance Allowed. Now press on Fields tab to maintain the fields of the table. The first field of the table that we want to create is called ManDT, which is a mandatory field to store SAP Client's ID. We need this field because we want to differentiate the data from each client, such as development, QA, and production. If you don't include ManDT in your table, then this simply means that the table is client independent, meaning that its data can be seen and used in any client of the system, which is in some cases you want this. For example, if you have a system table defined which its entries are used by a program regardless of the client, then you can omit the ManDT field. But normally we want our table to be client dependent, so we can have a different set of data for each client. And this is where the column ManDT come in handy. Enter ManDT and check the key checkbox, which means that it's a primary key. And also check the initial value, which is the not null indicator. And for the data type, we can use the standard data element, or you can create your own data elements. And for this column, we will be using the standard data element, which is also called ManDT. Press Enter. Here we can see the ManDT data element has 3 digits in length to store the client's ID number. The second column is called Product Code. We also want to make this column as the primary key, so check the key and the initial value option. For this second column, let's create a custom data element called ZDE Product Code. Type in ZDE Product Code and double-click the name. Before we proceed, we need to save the table first. Choose Yes. Click on Local Object because we don't want to transport this table to any other client. Here we can see the data element has not been created yet, and we are asked if we want to create this data element. Click on Yes. Next, give a short description to this data element. Let's type in Product Code. And for the data type, we can have a domain as the data type, or we can have predefined type. For this example, we want to use the predefined type. Select the predefined type option. Select the data type. For the product code column, we want to use car or character. Double-click the car data type. Give 5 characters as the column length. Next step is the field label. In this step, we want to give different field label depending on the length of the column referring to this data element. For the short one, let's type in product CD. And for the medium length, enter product code. For the long one, enter product code with a space. And for the heading, I will also put product code with a space. Now click on the Save button to save the data element. Click on Local Object. To activate this data element, click on the Activate button. Click Continue. Now the data element is ready to use. Click the Back button on the toolbar. Here we can see that the product code column is now using the ZDE product code data element. You can also reuse this data element in another table, because data element is a global object. For the next column, let's name it product name. This column is not a primary key, so we don't have to check the key and the initial value option. And for the data type, we will be using the predefined type. Click on the predefined type option, select car, and give 100 characters as the length. Now give the column description. Okay, now the next column is called quantity. And for the data type, we can use the standard data element, which is N, T, G, E, W. Click on the data element button, type in the data element's name and press enter. You can see here the data type is called quant, which is a special data type for quantity that has 13 in length with 3 decimals. The last column that we want to create is UOM, or unit of measure. This column will be used as the measurement unit for the quantity column. Type in UOM. For the data element, we also want to use the standard data element from SAP called mains. And then press enter. It's important to know that you have to give reference fields for both currency and quantity type fields in the table when you assign this data type for table fields. Now, if you have noticed, we added a field called quantity and one for units. But how will the system know that the unit field is linked to this quantity field? Now, to make this link, switch to the currency or quantity fields tab. Here you will see a blank area in front of the unit field, asking for the reference table and reference field for the unit. In our case, the reference table is the table ZT product itself. And since the unit field is here also, the reference field is UOM. After this, we need to do some technical settings for the table. Click on the technical setting button. Click yes to save the table. For the data class, we can select APPL0, which is for master data. And for the size category, just select size category 0. We can also set the buffering options here. Buffering is the process of storing table data temporarily in the RAM of the application server for faster query execution and also reduce database load and reduce network traffic. So if the table is updated regularly, then you probably want to activate the buffering option. But for this example, we just leave it as is. Now click on the Save button. Go back, and now activate the table. Click Yes. Click the Back button again. Well done! Now the table ZT products has been created successfully. Hi, and thank you guys for watching. I hope this tutorial can help you to create your own table in SAP. If you still have any question, please leave a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more SAP tutorial videos. See you in my next video. Bye bye!